Within the creational mechanics of the holographic structure, which manifests the harmonic universes, there are 2 timelines per dimensional octave. So within our harmonic universe, making up the reality of 3D Earth, within the 3 dimensions, 1 to 3D, we have 6 timelines. See the universal time matrix link below. When we energetically evolve and move up in octave, being initiated into higher frequencies, we are exposed to more dimensional octaves, therefore more potential timelines. Within these dimensions of future timelines are stations of identity, commonly called soul, oversoul, higher self, which comprise body parts or whole spiritual bodies of our forgotten selves. These are spiritual energetic bodies, that hold our consciousness intelligence matrices, our mind matrices, that make up our spiritual identity, and of which we are designed to reclaim these spiritual energetic pieces during these timeline collapses, which transpire during the ascension cycle. This is why those on the spiritual ascension path continually experience their energetic healing, by meeting the cellular memories that surface at different stages of evolution, in the multiple timelines. Being able to tune into these various timelines, and sense events or identities that exist in those timelines, is one definition of becoming multidimensional. We have to move through the series of timelines in each dimensional octave, and reclaim our identity, while recoding and changing the obsolete or false reality from interfering with our continued spiritual growth. Like a triathlete running and jumping over the hurdles, we connect with our lost aspects to merge with these time fields, whereby reclaiming and collecting our spiritual bodies, clearing negative forms and clones, to make it to the planetary ascension finish line. What is being accomplished during the spiritual ascension process, especially now with Guardian GSF Ascension timeline, is that humanity has to move through all the artificial machinery, the inorganic time fields, which are the negative alien timelines, with their inorganic and artificial hologram inserts, that program their false selfish enslavement agendas, NAA, or the negative alien agenda. As we clear false and inorganic architecture from suppressing and impairing our consciousness, we are extracting the alien enslavement programming, alien implants, and mind control, in order to embody our true inner Christos spirit and return to the zero-point field, the heart of the God gateway, leading into the 7 higher universes. Inorganic timelines. Because the original 5D plan was not achievable, see the false ascension matrix, it required our planetary evolution move through the many time fields at a faster pace, to move through many inorganic timelines that are located within the harmonic universes, where Earth has histories and memories, to be drastically sped up in our experience of time. The impact of this, is the amplification of the world of forces, which radically amplify polarities on the Earth. So for many of us, we have been called to be of service to Earth as polarity integrators. Those beings choosing to serve the law of one, are moving through extreme amounts of compiled future timelines, observing their collapse, in order to arrive at the zero-point field gateway octave, where the organic and eternal light is overriding the artificial machinery, and overriding replicated alien coding of the NAA. When one reclaims their spiritual body, and its identity, in an obsolete, false, or inorganic timeline, one moves through that timeline into the next dimensional octave timeline, to repeat the process while moving up the spiral of time. As we move up the dimensional octaves, or scale, to higher frequency, we also become conscious of future time. Moving through octaves of dimensional frequencies is synonymous with moving forward in time. The planetary ascension cycle is the end of a 3D combined timeline, and the planet is moving into a higher frequency of future time, a future dimensional octave. This skips the planetary consciousness field, therefore human beings and their consciousness, into future time and space fields which have much higher dimensional frequencies. As many different people, on 3D Earth, are existing at different levels on the scale of spiritual evolution, where their frequency resides and stabilizes, will determine their direction and future, whether they are personally involved in that decision or not. If a person is initiated into their soul matrix bodies, 4D, 5D, 6D, and enters the frequency of the next harmonic universe, by embodying their soul frequency, they will be exposed to another potential 6 timelines, total of 6D equals 12 timelines. The next harmonic universe, the parallel 5D Earth, has these next 6 potential timelines, and those entities, with an agenda for 5D, are working for that agenda. That would be the Nibiruan, Anunnaki alien invasion, NAA, and the subsequent later timeline, the Black Sun program of the Orion Zeta Draco invasion of 5D Earth. Together these negative aliens are mind-controlling humanity through inorganic alien machinery, that project the archetypes of the false king of tyranny. If a person is initiated into their oversoul, monad, bodies, 7D 8D, 9D, they will enter the frequency of the next harmonic universe, and will be exposed to another 6 potential timelines, total of 9D equals 18 timelines. When exposed to these timelines, they will be activated with cellular memory clearing or remembering these timelines, in order to reclaim the identities that exist within those timelines. This is a direct pathway of the spiritual ascension process for all beings, to reintegrate all of the selves. The Oversoul Harmonic Universe, the parallel 7D Earth, has the next 6 potential timelines, and those entities, with an agenda working in 7D, are working for that agenda. That would be the beings known in the New Age, as the Ascended Masters, or Chohans, serving the Alpha Draconis/Orion group agenda. When initiated into the Christos avatar body, 10D 11D 12D, another 6 timelines are accessed, total of 12D equals 24 timelines. This natural and organic evolutionary event, is being fought over with territorial conflicts, in the multiple timelines, with unaware 3D human beings caught in the middle. Knowledge protects, while ignorance harms. The 5D timeline, false ascension matrix, this was the original ascension evolution timeline for the 3D Earth, which has now been aborted by Guardian founder races, and the Starseeds who incarnated on 3D Earth, to serve the GSF Cosmic Sovereign Law, or the Organic Ascension Timeline, the Law of One. All sovereign and future advanced races that have a basic understanding of the natural physics of creation, choose to live in harmony with each other, as within the principles of the Law of One. As our current 3D Earth evolved through time, therefore dimensional space, at the end of this evolution round, every 26,000 years, called the precession of the equinoxes, by moving into the next octave, the planet and its inhabitants would ascend to the next dimensional space. The next dimensional space, or harmonic universe, comprises 4D 5D 6D, which is the human soul matrix, where the human soul identities and soul bodies exist. Together these 3 dimensions make up the next harmonic universe, of the 5D parallel Earth. At the end of this evolutionary cycle, planetary rounds, which ended on December 21, 2012, there are past and future timeline collapses intersecting with this current ascending reality. Humanity merges into the next octave layers by living out all of the potential 6 timelines of the 3rd dimension, into memory completion, and the next series of future timelines open to commence in the next cycle. Reconciling memories in timelines. When we realize that the consequences of our actions today were the result of inauthentic decisions made in the past, when we were projecting a mask of deception, that moment of realization can be painful. Every little event is connecting throughout the golden threads woven in the fabric of all time for us to see. Some of us may play out these timeline memories or events that were recorded in time, consciously or unconsciously. At this time we are being required to reconcile ancestral memories, recorded in timelines, in some kind of format. As it surfaces it will present us with a task or conflict to resolve. Many of us are reconciling the past or future timelines, as well as issues presented at the individual self, the ancestral self, the karmic self, or the collective planetary self and so forth. We may have the come to Jesus moment in our life, and be forced to see the pain and harm we have caused, or our ancestors caused, to ourselves and others, through histories recorded in time. We may have allowed another person or thing that we love to have authority in our life direction, and influence our timeline, and recently learned they have misrepresented themselves. No matter how this deception has occurred, if we have based our life on a foundation of self-deception, masking identities, that deception is crumbling away beneath our feet, and this can feel scary. When we lose what we may have believed is the foundation of our identity, the ego personality, the lack of reinforcement to that identity may contribute to feeling a loss of clarity, or trust in life. Administering compassion and offering kind understanding to support those in this situation is greatly needed today. Dead light miasma in time. Many of these conflicts and trauma have been carried for eons of time, buried in our bodies as ancestral memories from other timelines. When these memory traumas remain unseen and unhealed, they turn into dead light, black energy, frozen or static fields. This dead light creates energy blockages and distortion, which is also called miasma. When discussing the reconciliation of ancestral memories, it is also referencing the dead energy blockages of recorded ancestral miasma. This dead light, energy, miasma is recorded in the planetary body as well as our own individual bodies. When we clear miasma and their imprints from our individual body, we are helping to clear the larger macrocosm. See miasma, planetary, linked below. Triune scale of particle-based time. The first section of the triune is the particle universal scale of time. This is the external reality we experience in physical matter on 3D Earth, including the nature of timelines that exist at the particle universe level. We can call that the particle timelines. The second section of the triune is the antiparticle universal scale of time. This is the parallel universe of which contains an antiparticle mirror, or double, of our particle universe. The parallel or antiparticle Earth holds the exact mirror opposite to the time cycles we have on particle Earth. We can call that antiparticle timelines or parallel universe timelines. The third section of the triune is the universal inner world scale of time, or the in-between spaces. This is the domain of the inner worlds which intersect between the particle universe and the antiparticle universe. The universal inner world scale of time holds both the architecture of the particle timelines and antiparticle timelines. This means both timelines can be accessed from the inner worlds, such as the inner Earth domains. At certain points in the time cycle when merges occur, new architecture can be created which impacts the particle and antiparticle time field. This time is now. The inner worlds are the access key to creating the universal ascension timeline known as Ascension Plan B. Each section of the triune of universes intersects at a 45-degree angle of respective particle spin, which moves diagonally. This usually creates a buffer between them, which keeps spaces closed off. However, that buffer is dissolving, and during this phase the triune of universes, and their timelines are merging. This creates entry points at several layers of the time field, or dimensional plane, of which can be intersected, for our interest to create crystal star host handshake hubs, in previously closed-off spaces. A handshake hub is a triad communication station that is the link-up, and specific living geometry, that connects to the crystal host. This is a phenomenon that only occurs during a certain phase of the timeline within the ascension cycle. For those of us as energy grid workers, this merge provides an advantage to create some vast changes and corrections in the energy architecture, which impacts past and future timelines. This is a window of opportunity. There are interdimensional pillars, crystal star spires, placed in the planetary instruction sets, which are adjusting our particle timeline to stabilize and merge with the other timelines. This timeline merge has created access into other realities, and allowed access from other realities into our 3D world of matter. This has allowed an access into spaces that were not previously available, for both positive and negative entities. Some of these space openings contain much higher frequency, with shorter wavelengths, which when exposed to our reality are starting to change the lower atmosphere of Earth. Repairing timelines. With the galactic timelines opening and a new entry point emerging, circa 2008, the Melchizedek Guardian Groups are the groups that oversee and direct the planetary repair projects that specifically result in the collapsing and clearing away of distorted timelines, the distorted historical human records that have created DNA damage in the past, present and future timelines. Please note that at the end of the planetary round cycle on 12/21/2012, the Melchizedek hosting cycle ended and the crystal star hosting for the next evolution cycle began. It is these guardian founder races that work with the universal holographic architecture, in order to repair its structural integrity back into the GSF Ascension timeline, Ascension Plan B. For us on the ground level, the first step is to build a personal Platinum 12D shield, and then learn how to expand it to create group pillars, at community levels, planetary levels, and so forth, to eventually build ascending hub networks. In the beginning stages, one is learning to acclimate to the frequency by the visual cue, of being connected to the external 12D source hub, until one grows into the understanding that frequency is being accessed from inside one's own body. Eventually, as the integrity of your light body expands, your entire vertical hara line, the chakra column, becomes one huge ray of platinum with white gold woven crystalline frequency. At this point of activation, your 12D shield is permanent, and you are called to spin the fields into larger ones from right inside your own body and energy field. Your body is a God consciousness technology that can impact larger planetary fields by stabilizing disharmonic environments on the surface grids. This literally means one may choose to utilize your God-given Christos light, in service to perfect and divine will, to circumvent disasters, clear timelines, create harmonic patterns, etc. At this level of light body activation, your sphere of influence and impact to the planetary fields is much more expansive and immediate. As our sphere of influence grows in the field, this begins the necessary study of ethical conduct, lessons of building a strong moral character to embody the Christic virtues which are required to move into higher states of consciousnesses. The Christic source field of consciousness is capable to direct the power levels of frequency that open portals, transit entities through the mother arc and override timelines. Guardian context of timeline repair. The guardian perspective is that many of the hologram layers, the manifestation template of the 12-tree grid, were distorted into such disrepair, that the impending destruction of the original Divinity 12D blueprint was highly probable without a direct intervention. Consciousness intervention was planned during the Ascension cycle, and only possible if star-seeded beings, and indigo races, from other worlds, came to embody within the human body template, to repair and recode its DNA genetics, both at the individual and planetary levels. This way, it was not an infringement of the free will of creation, as the embodied starseed would be physically manifested as an earthly human being, and then genetically activated to remember to call in for the help of light forces, and the star families. In this last dark cycle, most humans had forgotten their divine commission and were not calling for God forces, or for evolutionary support. Additionally, through bioneurological mind control agendas stemming from the more technologically advanced extradimensional races of the NAA, not denoting spiritual advancement, humanity was and is subject to spiritual oppression and enslavement, without their conscious realization or informed consent. This resulted in damaged and digressed DNA, that required repair work, and rehabilitation, in order to be activated and freed during the Ascension cycle. Timeline override. We have to move through the series of timelines in each dimensional octave and reclaim our identity while recoding and changing the obsolete or false reality from interfering with our continued spiritual growth. If we do not clear the past issues recorded in our timeline, we will repeat the same patterns until we learn the spiritual lesson or clear the trauma of the original causal event. Everything repeats itself in the person's timeline until the spirit of the person resolves the energetic conflict issue or trauma that is recorded in their consciousness memories. When we clear and thus change the past timeline in the current present moment, we change the current timeline we have been traveling. This allows the creation of a new timeline, and future direction to travel, for the consciousness. When we clear the past, we move outside of the trauma timeline, and this changes the person's timeline for the future, that further changes the probability of the future cycle of time.